Hey everybody, this is Scott once again doing a little bit of a let's play for a game I'm into. I wanted to do this video mostly for folks who I know that are struggling with the learning the ins and the outs. The tutorials in the game, the campaign, I understand is not ideal for learning if you're not versed in strategy games, sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is just kind of create a new random map, just real quick, just random, and I'm just going to do it for the express purpose of explaining a few of the very basics. So let's dive right in. Okay, so what you do once you got here is you've got your opening character, and your beginning city, your domain, which extends out from your city, some helpful pop-ups to give you some information about your what you're doing and what you need to do. So let's go through the interface real quick here. Up here you've got the overlay panel that has a bunch of information in it, including the quests you've got open, your cities, your resources, your armies, your units. Each army can contain up to 6 units. I have 2 such armies so far. You zoom in, you can see the number 1 on this flag means there's 1 unit in that army. The number 6 here means there's 6 units in this army. And you can see those also over here. You can click on them right here. Right? Brilliant. So then here is all the leaders and heroes. I only have 1 currently, although there's 1 waiting to join. You always get 1 hero who wants to join you right away. Let's just go ahead and click on this. Left click to accept this event. And in this case, it's to pay 100 gold for a level 1 sorcerer. Alright then. Now I have a second guy right here. So also here is any active spells, world enchantments, and that sort of thing. So let's close this down. Here's the diplomacy menu. I haven't really met anybody, so there's no one to diplomacy with. But that's where you go if you want to initiate that contact. Here's the Tome of Wonders. This is where you go if you have any questions about things like how does morale work? Morale. So you can click on these game concepts and sort of get information on that. End turn. I don't know. There's a ton of stuff if you want to have a question about like the warlord class. You know, classes. These are all clickable and learn all kinds of things. Concealment. We might come in there if something pops up later. You can right-click to dismiss things you don't really need to read about, like you already know because you began the game many times what these quests are. You can just dismiss them. Alright, here's my gold. I had 300. I paid 100 for my starting hero, so I'm down to 2 with 38 per turn. And if you put your cursor over, it gives you your breakdown, where you're getting this from. I'm getting 30 for my city. Base 40 is probably just because of it is based on the difficulty level, perhaps. Minus 32 from army upkeep. Every unit, you can click on your stacks to get your army list up here. Click on a unit to get the individual unit card of information. And you can scroll in and out of this little picture here. And kind of zooming around, get a better look at your little dudes. So you'll see Boar Riders here have 8 upkeep because they're tier 2. All tier 2 units have 8. All tier 1 have 4. Tier 3 guys take 16 gold. And tier 4 takes 32. That's expensive. They're very powerful. Looking at this here, you've got your unit's health, how many movement points they have. Some hexes by default take, I think 4 is the default number of points to move from one hex to another. But, you know, if you're on rough terrain like mountains take like 12, for example. This defense determines how much damage you take or don't take from physical attacks, denoted with this little starburst. That's the physical damage. So this guy does a 12-point physical strike. This is resistance. This is for everything else that might hurt or damage you that's not physical based, like poison or, you know, lightning. This unit is able to walk. It's a cavalry unit. It can charge, which means it does a bunch of extra damage if it moves 4 or more hexes on the turn it attacks. Being mounted just means it's affected by things that say if target is mounted. Armored gives it +2. That's why as a tier 2 unit with such a high defense. Well, then it's a dwarf. Dwarves have a lot more defense than other units. Mountaineering. I said before that mountains take 12 to pass. Not for these guys, only 8. Cave crawling. They are faster underground and can see further underground, and they are slightly protected from blight or poison damage. So you can get a lot of information from just clicking on these guys, and it's worth it to sort of take the time when you first start a game, learn a little bit about your units that you start with, and a little bit about the units you can build. Here's your mana. This is your research. We'll cover that in a second. And that's casting points, how much mana you can spend per turn. So for now, select a skill to research. Alright, so here you go. Here's your spell book. Start of every game, you had to start researching new skills and spells. Skills, empire upgrades, passive abilities that just make everything easier or better in some way. Have these little pillars on them. For example, training regimen. The money production cost of archers, cavalry, infantry, and irregular and pikeman units is reduced by 20%. So right now, if I wanted to build in my city a unit, this crossbowman here, 77 gold. If I research this, 20% cheaper, whatever that works out to be, like 60 gold. So it's worth getting early on. It's going to take 4 turns. How do they get that? Well, I get 20 research per turn. 80 research points to learn training regimen. That's 4 turns. I like Berserk. You can you'll see here Empire upgrade. I'm pointing at it like you can see my finger. Researching training regimen, Empire upgrade. So what that means is, like I said, Empire upgrade passive. These little starbursts here, strategic spell city enchantments. You cast these on the world map, and they affect change on the strategic layer. This is the strategic layer. Okay, this is the strategy layer. When you go into a battle, that's the tactical layer. That's where you cast spells like Berserk, a combat spell, unit enchantment. Attempts to cause target unit to go Berserk. You pop it on an enemy, and he will attack someone near him. That does not mean one of his enemies. It'll just be one of his allies if you cast it correctly, and if they fail their resistance check. This is excellent. I'm going to just learn this for fun. Now, I still can't end my turn. Why? Because I have a city that is not producing anything right now. And the game won't let you just end your turn if you haven't taken care of all the little bits of upkeep and administration for your empire. So I will click select production for Remnor. That's the city right here. If I wanted to produce merchandise and get an extra 10 gold per turn, I can just actually click produce down here, and it's legitimately doing it now, and it'll move on to other things I have to do. Not a great move for your starting turn. You got 200 gold, spend it. So I think maybe getting another couple of units is a good idea. Followed by a builder's hall, which is the thing I like to get early first, because it's only 100 gold, and it produces 20 hammers, and unlocks production of settler and builder units. Now, settler units and builder units let you build forts, settle new cities. I think that's pretty obvious. That's useful to get as early as possible in case you ever come across a zone you want to build a city in. But the production points are really important. You see I get 30 hammers here. What is a hammer? Well, just like 20 research points per turn means I can learn something that costs 80 points in 4 turns, 30 hammers means I can build something that costs 30 gold in 1 turn. Or in the case of crossbowmen, it's going to take 3 turns to build these guys, because they're 77 gold, and I'm only able to put 30 gold that I spend into this project 1 per turn. So after 3 turns, I'll have gotten 90 gold worth of production spent. So I don't know if any of that carries over. I won't need all 90 for the 77 gold dude here, but that's how that works. So when I bought this guy right away, it deducted 77 gold from my treasury immediately. in 3 turns, I'll have gained 28, 28, and then 28 more. Plenty to pay for this guy, right? Which you'll see is only 2 turns, so it must carry over. The extra bit I don't need from the 90 I'll have after 3 turns must carry over, meaning he'll only take 2 then. So in 5 total turns I'll have a crossbowman and I'll have an axeman. I just realized axemen only take 2 normally, so that's probably why. Maybe production does not carry over. I'm not really sure. So anyway, what I want to do is I want to build this builder's hall as quick as I can. Because that's going to give me an extra 10 points here, so I'm just building things that much faster. This is probably not necessarily the optimal way to play. There's no real right or wrong play when you're learning and you're just sort of having fun. So, just dive in and start building stuff. See what happens, see what works. If you lose, you lose. But at least you had a good time trying and learning. You can do a rally point, but I don't know how that works. I think you could, like, right-click or left-click here, and then... oops, maybe it was a left-click. Let's try it again. Rally. Okay, there. Now when I build troops, they'll stand right here. I don't want to do that, though. Let's remove it. Okay. So, now that I have set my production for my only city, I have kicked off research. I have armies that don't have anything to do. This one, this one, this one, they're just sort of sitting there. Let's take a look at my armies. And now I have 3 armies. One's the hero I picked up. So let's take my main army. We're going to right-click to move them out of the city. I'm going to start exploring the map with these guys because I've got a tier 2 boar rider, I've got some crossbowmen, and some prospectors. Prospectors are sort of weak melee troops, but they can also throw stones, and they can tunnel, so that's actually nice. They're not great, but that's what I got. But you notice I have another boar rider here, so let's do this. One of these guys, not super good. Let's pick him. Now I have him highlighted, the others are not highlighted. If I right click, he will walk by himself, and I will camp him here. He'll just defend the city. This extra boar rider I got, come with me. There you go. Now I've got 2 heavy-hitting melee guys, 2 excellent crossbows, and then this guy. Let's have him also stay here. Now I got 2 guys that can throw stones behind a wooden wall. Looks like I have a wooden wall to defend the city with. Right click or left click clears whoever you have selected there. So I'm gonna left click on this guy. I'm gonna actually move him with a right click. Boom. Now I got a hero, a leader, and that's my starting army. So I'm gonna left click on the ground here to just get rid of some of the stuff sorry, close this. There. Now I got a guy. Now I can right click to move over here. And what do we got? Left click to select. We got Draconian Tier 1 Crusher. With these guys, big giant swords. Deals damage. They would do extra damage to guys with shields and pikes. And then we've got Orc Spearmen. Solid, good damage. Orcs do a lot of damage. Not a lot of resistance and health or defense there, though. This shouldn't be too hard at all, as confirmed by the fact they want to run from me. I'm going to fight them so I can show you how combat works a little bit. So let's just do a manual combat. You can always do an auto combat. I recommend you fight as early and as often as possible for 2 reasons. 1, to get accustomed to your units, learn what they're capable of doing for the big fights. And 2, just practicing being strategic with placing your units, trying to get flanking attacks against enemies, that sort of thing. I'm going to let this play in the default speed. You can toggle the speeds down here, though, if you want. But the default speed will be how I can sort of explain what I'm doing. First of all, this is a destruction node, so capturing it will yield me, once my domain expands as my city grows, once this node falls under my domain, it will provide extra mana for my empire. For now, it's just going to give me it's a treasure site, so you'll get something out of clearing it, probably a bunch of mana. However, you'll notice up here you're going to see little icons for any active spells in the battlefield. One starts off, Mass Curse. All my guys are at -2 defense and -2 resistance, making us just a little bit easier to hurt and kill. You'll notice that the enemies are not affected by this effect. So that's the thing. Alright, so what do we got here? We got Spearman. Spearman can throw. They can throw a javelin for 10 damage, one shot. And if I click it, you can see their movement range, and then the range of their javelin if they just stand still and throw it. So of course that means if they move to stand right here, their range to throw their javelin becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they can easily throw their javelin and hit any of my guys. But then I could move my guys closer. That just makes it easier for them to get to me. I'm going to make them come to me. But first, what spells do I have? I can cast Killer Instinct on one of my troops. That will make them have extra damage against orcs and dwarves and high elves and all the other races. That might be good to cast. I can instill Courage to give +3 damage. The Overwhelm ability, that's bonus damage against shielded units and pikemen. I know that because one of these guys had Overwhelm. I just talked about it there. That guy starts with it. I have a hero on the field too. You'll recall he joined me. This guy can cast spells also. We might want him to cast this. It'll protect for physical protection a lot. 80% reduction in damage for 2 turns. So let's just let them get closer before I waste my mana on... Well, nope, let's cast on my Boar Rider, Killer Instinct. Left click to select. Now they have all the Slayers. +3 damage against all these troops. And guess what? There's the Draconians, these are orcs. These guys are going to do extra damage to all those guys. Alright, let's see what happens. Here they come to throw a spear, probably at my hero. Oh, nope, they threw it at the... Oh, yeah, at my hero. And my leader. The AI is no dummy. They know the threats. They will try and take them out as best they can. Now, even though the units have figures on them, it's just a purely aesthetic choice because it looks nice to have a bunch of guys there instead of one unit. So while my boars took a little damage, they're just as effective offensively as if there was 1 hit point or if they had all 50. It doesn't matter. Alright, so let's just see what we can do here. We're going to have this guy protect the boars. And they're going to rush in there. Right click to execute. Alright, look at that. Tons of damage, almost no damage in return. Let's finish these guys off. Let's see here. This will do it. You can tell because when you go to attack somebody, you can see the orcs have 38 health. I'm going to deal 11 to 17 physical damage twice. Why is twice? Well, because I'm going to be standing in the yellow when I attack. If I was standing in the green, I would still have all 3 of my action points left. First action point's green. If you spend that, you have 2 left, yellow and red. Spend that, you have 1 left. You got a red one. So if I move here, I still have 3 action points. And if I picked, well, if I had a range attack that allowed for up to 3 attacks, then I could do all 3 of them right here because I still have 3 action points. But crossbows actually shoot once, so it doesn't matter if I stand over here and shoot. Now, if I have my melee attack selected, and it says 16 to 24 times 2, that damage is based on a number of things. One, I'm mounted and have a charge bonus, so I do extra damage against guys when I move more than 4 hexes. So you'll notice it says charge, +1 melee strength, and shield. The shield is in red because it's going to reduce the damage I deal. The charge is in green because it's modifying it positively. Doesn't matter where the modifiers are coming and going from, the end result is going to be 16 to 24 damage twice to a guy with 38 health. He will probably die. He might survive if I do minimum damage 2 times in a row. But it's important to note that on my guy, who has 39 health, he will take 8 to 12 damage twice, because the target will retaliate. Now when the target retaliates, it burns his future action points for the next turn. The orc will have just that many fewer actions to be able to do when his turn comes around. But he might be dead. So I'm going to go for the attack, see what happens. Alright. I did 17, they retaliate for 8, I did 15, because they lived, and that was unfortunate. They did live, they got lucky, they have 6 health left. So, let's who else is left? I got these boar riders here, we're going to go ahead and finish them off. No problem at all. Crossbows, let's move these guys up. The nice thing about crossbows, since they only fire once, no matter how far you move them, you may as well move them into the best position possible. You'll notice, even though I'm not too far away, still a range penalty. Crossbows don't have great range, and they have a shield, which is further reducing my damage. So an attack that has a listed damage of 16 is only going to do as little as 6. Maybe up to 10. We'll see what happens. Alright. If I could get behind them, I could get a flank on them, but I didn't have any real ways to get around. I'll explain flanking in a second. Okay, that was a flanking attack, and it killed my guys, because it did a bunch of extra damage. Why was it a flanking attack? Well, the 3 hexes in front of a unit is where you is like their awareness zone. Like they can see and engage units in that area. If I try to walk in front of these guys, you'll notice those red chevrons in their engagement zones. If I walk through that, they will get free attacks for opportunity against me. So that's silly. Don't do that. However, the 3 zones behind a unit are their flanking zones. If you attack from a flank position, it'll tell you flanked, and I'm also charging, and I'm an Orc Slayer, so this is going to be a real hard thing for them to retaliate against. In fact, they can't retaliate. When you attack from a flank, not only do you deal extra damage, it makes the figure turn to face you, and then stand there facing you. So if I hit this guy, then these guys will have a flank, because this guy is now facing the boars. So, I'm going to do that real quick. Boom. They survived, and they turned around and faced these guys. Now, they are almost dead. They have 8 health. You'll notice I have another flank on them now. Boom. That's how that works. I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about quick, and now I forgot what it was. Oh, units in guard mode. I'm going to guard this guy. Okay. When a unit guards, and by the way, a unit will always guard all on its own if it hasn't done anything else that turn. If you just end the turn, if I hit end turn right now, everything will guard that hasn't already moved. You don't have to manually guard everyone. You can, but you don't have to. So, in guard mode, you're surrounded by awareness hexes. You cannot be flanked, and you always provide attacks opportunity against guys who run through you. Alright, that being said, let's finish these guys off. Alright, there we go. Fight is over. Victory is mine. These early fights are designed to be pretty easy. Getting you easy resources and stuff, and clearing the area around your starting city. Got 13 mana. Nice. Now, before I end my turn, and you'll notice I have nothing else to do, so it just says click to end your turn. It says that because I have no other actions I have to address. I got my research going, my city's producing stuff, all my military units that aren't camped have moved and have done stuff. So there's nothing else to do. There's no real reason to not end your turn at this point. This is also the end turn button. You can just click that whenever you want if you want to ignore the messages that are coming up here. This is how you cast spells. Click that and bring up your spell book. I can actually cast the spell right here, right now, for 30 mana, and it will give me an extra free unit at the cost of some population. Now, when I click this, it's going to take 30 mana crystals, and I have 37, so I can afford it. However, it won't happen right away. Now, I paid the 37 mana, but this little 1 here means I'm going to wait a turn to cast it. And the reason that is because I only have 20 casting points available per turn. Right now. I can have more as I get deeper into the game, but for now it's 20. And since this costs almost 40, it won't cast till the next turn. Alright, which is right now. So now my next turn starts, and I'm going to raise militia is ready to cast. Click on that. It's telling me, call the Empire citizens to battle, instantly deploy an irregular unit at target city owned at the cost of minus 100 population. Select target friendly city. Yellow, or white, can't click here. Not a valid target, not a valid target. Green, valid target. Let's left click to cast. Boom! Got me another prospector. There you go. And by the way, 100, I had 3,800 population. 100 is not that big a deal. Although, this is how many turns it'll take before my domain expands. So, you don't want to be doing that a lot, but that's a warlord ability. Okay, let's left click to deselect the city. And we're back in Renmore. My city has been affected by raised militia. Right click to dismiss, we don't care. This guy is on here, he's going to keep on adventuring. There's some more stuff here. Now, you'll notice one last advanced tip. I have red here. I can't move any further. The marshlands I'm standing on cost 6. The wetlands, 6 points. And you'll notice I have this crossbowman here. He's got 2. So he's out of movement. And your army can only move as fast as the slowest dude. If I click on these guys and just not let him move, you'll notice I can move one more turn because all my guys have 6 movement, or at a minimum. Okay. If I just have this one guy right click and attack, he can bring the entire army in, even though he alone is the only one who took a step forward. That's just how the system works. So if you can't quite reach somebody, you can always click on someone with a lot of movement and have them attack, and you'll still get to do the fight. And by the way, if I abort the attack right now, there's no penalty. No penalty at all. No penalty at all. So you click on a guy, you can right click. I'm going to probably win against these dire penguins and this baby reed serpent, but I don't want to risk it. My leader's a little wounded. I'll abort the attack. And we're going to just sit here for one turn. Click to end turn. Alright, so there you go. That's just a brief how to play. You have some other things to look at. You've got your event histories right here. You turn on the hex grid, and you can play with the mini-map stuff down here, like I don't want to see domain views. You know, that sort of thing. Options, save game. Who's Gone. I'm playing simultaneous turns, but you can actually play classic turn-based. In fact, one more tip, classic turn-based, a little less intensive for your processor. If your CPU is a little under the gun, trying to keep up with all the AI taking all their turns simultaneously, try classic turns. Everyone else is checked in. That's what these little lights are underneath the other players. They've already checked their turn in. Once I end my turn, boom, instantly get to go again because I was the last one to check in. Here is my Empire happiness and why it's the number that it is, because I recruited a hero and won a battle. Here's my insignia, also that's right here, and on my flags. Here's my alignments. So far I'm doing a little bit on the evil side because I've been hunting down guards that try to flee from me. And I think that kind of covers the interface. That's really all there is to it. It's really not a lot to the game. You just build stuff in your cities, you explore with your armies, you research spells, and you cast stuff on things, hopefully. So, alright, well, I hope that was informative, and I urge anyone who is looking into the game, give it a try. It's very, very fun, and if you enjoy any kind of, board gaming or wargaming, strategy games, games like Civilization or Warlock, this is one of the best that I've come across so far. It's been extremely engaging, and easy to lose yourself in. So, alright, well, thanks for watching, and I'm signing off for now. If you guys want to see more of these, just let me know. Thanks again.